Hi, I'm Chris from Young Urban Farmers. In this video, we're going to be learning about direct seeding. Direct seeding can be done in some transplant trays, like what I have in here, using some black plastic that we often reuse from year to year. It can also be done directly in the garden, in the final area where you want to be planting. Today we're going to be demonstrating with some greens, some lettuce, and some arugula, as well as with a little bit of a larger seed called nasturtium. Direct seeding is often done with greens as well as with root vegetables because you can put them directly in the spot where you want them to be planted and you don't have to transplant them for later. If you do put them in something like this, you will be moving them to a final location or a bigger container when they are at a little bit of a larger size. There are a couple of things to remember when it comes to direct seeding. Number one is you want to be planting the seeds at the appropriate depth. And the general rule of thumb is when you have your seeds to be planting them 2 to 3 times their size deeper than the soil level. So if you have some larger seeds like these nasturtiums, you're going to be planting it a little bit deeper than if you have some really small and fine seeds like some lettuce or some arugula. You can see right here that the lettuce seeds are much smaller and much more fine, which means that when we plant them 2 to 3 times their depth, they're going to be at a much shallower depth than compared to the nasturtiums. The second thing that you want to keep in mind is the appropriate spacing for the plants. When we're doing them in these started packs, we're going to be planting them 2 to 3 seeds in each individual cell pack. When we're doing them directly outside, read the package instructions, understand how big the plant is going to get before deciding where you're going to be planting it. For example, lettuces, depending on the variety, you can be planting it 3 to 4 inches apart. Similar thing with beans. Other things you can plant a little bit closer, like carrots, and other things need to be given a little bit more space, like Swiss chard or cucumbers or zucchini as another example. So we're going to go ahead and plant some nasturtiums as well as some lettuce in this tray. The first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be poking a hole right in the soil for the seeds. So we're going to be using our fingers. We're going to be making a little depression in the soil, and then we're going to be putting 2 or 3 seeds per depression area, and then we're going to be covering it up with a little bit of some extra soil. One tip that you can be doing is once the seeds are in, you can just press down a little bit directly on the seeds to get them right down to the exact depth that you want them to be planted. You're going to be covering it up, you're going to give it a little bit of water, and depending on the variety, you'll start to see it germinate within a week to 2 weeks. We're going to also demonstrate with a little bit of lettuce. So as you can see, the seeds for this variety of lettuce, and all lettuces, are much smaller, and we need to be a little bit more careful when we put them into the planting area. You can use your fingers. Another little trick that you can use is use the end of a chopstick if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, and you can be getting a nice little depression in the soil just like that. So again, we're going to be putting 2 to 3 seeds in each of these areas. We're going to be covering it gently, and we're going to be giving it a little bit of water once it is all set and once it is all ready. So when it comes to direct seeding, we're using some relatively small package sizes right here. For some larger seeds like some cucumbers or zucchini, you can use some larger 4-inch round pots or some square pots, and that just allows the plants to get a little bit bigger before you put them right out into the garden at the appropriate time. So that's direct seeding. There's not too much to think about, but you do want to keep in mind to have the appropriate spacing and the appropriate depth when you go and plant your seeds.